Welcome to today's Monday Crafternoon. I am Linda with Sweet Aria Decor. Aria is my daughter's name. I named my business for her. I don't think she wants it. That's okay. Well, today we're going to get a little sporty, and I am the most unathletic person you will ever meet. Like, my idea of like a sport is channel surfing, okay? But I did find this really cool sign at the Craig Bachman warehouse sale. It says "Spike It," which I'm assuming is a volleyball term. I really don't know. But I did also find volleyball ribbon. So if I find a ribbon there and a sign to match, you know I'm going to make a wreath. And I'm going to pair it with, I call this my Beetlejuice pattern, but it's just black and white stripe. I like this. It's cute. And then we're going to do it on some black tinsel mesh. And basically what that means is, let me take it out of here and I'll show you. ASMR. Sorry. Those videos drive me nuts, but I can't stop watching. I hate when people make the sound of like their fingernails tapping on stuff. But what it means is, you see along the border, there's like these little edge. So this is kind of like a tinsel stripe. So it's kind of like a stripe border. It always looks cute. I prefer mesh that has a different little border around the outside because you see so much of it when I make these wreaths. So today we are going to do this as a thin wreath because I am imagining that this might hang on a teenage girl's door to her bedroom. So we don't want it super fluffy. We're going to have this be narrow. So we're going to do a skinny one today. Okay. Spike it. I didn't see any other colors. I only saw the blue. But that's all right. I'm sure it'll be fine. All right. So what I'm going to do is cut my mesh and then get some pipe cleaners. So I like to use the pipe cleaners. I get the big bag from Hobby Lobby. It's like $2.99 for like $140 or something like that. So it's a pretty good deal. These are good quality. I do not use the pipe cleaners from Dollar Tree because they do not hold up. I bought a whole bunch when I first started crafting, and now I've got a crap ton of really not great quality pipe cleaners to use, but that's all right. I'll find something to use them for. But I'm only going to use 13, so I'm going to use 12 on the wreath and then one for the bow. But I'm going to put this to the side because what I want to do first is cut my mesh. Why do I do it first? Because it's the step I like the least. So I figure if I can get it out of the way, that'll help. So this is my mesh roller. This is Susie's triple stationary mesh roller. There is a link to it if you go to my profile. I do have a link tree. But it's www.simplify-organize.com. This is the mesh roller. It works to hold ribbon. It can hold wrapping paper. I love this so much because cutting mesh is not my favorite thing, and this makes it easier to organize, and then stuff doesn't go rolling off the table. So I'm going to start by, I just want to make a straight cut because a lot of times when I open the roll, the middle of it comes up a little bit, so it's not straight. So I'm going to start off with that. Now, I'm going to cut these at 18 inches. If you wanted something a little thicker, fuller, you could cut it at perhaps 20 inches, but I want to keep this thinner, so I'm doing 18. That's my standard. So I need 12 pieces, so here we go. 1. And I like to lay them flat and put something on top of it because I don't like when they curl up and roll off because then they roll off the end of my table and then I got to go chase them. And that's like exercise, and again, I don't do that. 1, okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to stop here for a second. I'm going to try to organize my mesh. So I like to take it, how it curls up. I just hold that underneath the table, grab the top here, and then I just grab these other pieces, and then just roll it down my belly. I mean, I've got a big gut, so I'm going to leverage what I have. All right. Just makes them nice and straighten out because we don't really want these to be too curly for a pancake wreath. So then I just put these on top of the other stack. Makes it nice and flat. You don't have to do this. This is just my way. Everyone has their own way of how things work best for them. 6 more. So that's 7, 8, 9, 10. Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. 11, and 12. Which means there should be 6 pieces left on this roll. Which is why I always usually buy 2 rolls, at least, at minimum, of the same mesh. Because then I can get 3 pancake wreaths out of 2 rolls of mesh. Okay? So don't throw the rest of that away. Oh no. I think most of us crafters are hoarders of our tiny little, our stems, our little bits and pieces, because our mind says, don't throw it away. You're still going to use it. And then 2 years later, you clean out your craft room and you have a bin of all these teeny, tiny little mini blooms that might have fallen off of this or that. You don't know where it goes, and you finally convince yourself to throw it away. And then the next day, you find that you would have used something, so you would have needed it. Ain't that the way life goes? All right. So I have now 12 pieces of this mesh cut at 18 inches long. This is 10-inch wide mesh. FYI, I'm going to move this out of the way to give myself more room. Okay. So now we are going to start with the fun part. This is a 14-inch wreath frame from Dollar Tree. They have been hard to find lately. They had a shipment come in end of March. There should be a shipment coming in the end of the first week of April, which would be the end of this week, and then at the end of May, because I called and I asked their corporate office, and that's what they told me. So I was able to get a case ordered online. This, of course, was 3 days before they had the free shipping, so I did pay shipping on it, but I needed them desperately. I didn't want to spend the time driving around to multiple Dollar Trees that when I found that they didn't have them. I paid the shipping. So these are great for thinner wreaths, because this is going to have a sign on there and not much else. That's kind of that and a bow. But if you have a lot of heavier attachments, this probably is not going to be the best wreath frame. You'll want a work wreath frame that has the ties already attached, and it's a much sturdier metal. But for now, because this is a thin wreath, we're good with this. So I'm going to take a bunch of these out. And I need 12. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold this up. There are 4 rings, okay, 4 rings around the outside, and there are 6 spines, okay, that hold the rings together. So I'm going to go in, I'm going between rings 3 and 4 here, okay? It's kind of on the top of ring 2. I'm going to bring it down underneath ring 1. I'm going to bring it around, again, over ring 2. All right, but it straddles the spine. You see how it's straddling the spine? And it kind of makes that Harry Potter scar, okay? I'm going to bring it up again, and I'm just going to twist it. If I had an overview, I would be showing this overview, but I want to make sure you guys can see that. Let's do that again. Okay? The top of ring 2 on the left of the spine. Bring it under ring 1. Bring it over the top of ring 2 to the right of the spine, and then bring it down underneath ring 1 again. Okay? So we've got a Harry Potter scar. Going to bring it around. Okay? And then I'm just going to twist these. That's why I wore a solid color shirt, so my boobs could be a nice background for you to watch that. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to continue going around. I'm going to do all 6 on the inside. Then we're going to do something just slightly different on the outside. So here's number 3. All right. So, Linda's there. Kay's there. Sandy. Sandy, how are you? I haven't talked to you in a while. I hope you guys are all doing good. And Miss Kay. Mackenzie said that she saw you. I can't remember where she was at, but she said she saw you somewhere. So hello. I hope you're doing well. Here we go. Coming around. Miss Kay. We were out yesterday. I was working in the garage, and we heard there was an ice cream truck going through the neighborhood, and we could hear it, and we couldn't find it. And we're running up and down the block. Ari's running to the end of the block. She's trying to look down, trying to find it. We got in the car. We drove around looking for it. Couldn't find it. Came home, got out of the car, started hearing it again. I'm convinced at this point that I was just hallucinating the whole thing, because we went through every street in our subdivision, because Miss Kay lives in the same subdivision. It was crazy. Okay, so we have all 6 on the inside, but now we have to work on the outside, okay? But instead of doing it on the spine, we're going to go between the spine, because we want mesh ruffle here, and then this mesh ruffle will fill in the gap of the other 2. So we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to go, okay, I'm going to go the top of ring 3, bringing it all the way around, over ring 4, bringing it back under 3 again, wrapping it around, okay? So we have our Harry Potter scar again. And then I'm just going to twist. Okay. Now this time I want to bend the frame ever so slightly. What that does is it will keep it from sliding around too much, because what you don't want is for all this to go sliding around. Okay. And I want to give credit where credit is due. I learned this technique from Coach Melissa with Sincerely Creative Mom. She is one of the creative coaches with Decor Exchange. I am a member of both their business and creative coaching communities. I love to watch the different coaches. I've learned a lot from them. I'm going to be seeing them at Wreath Makers Live coming up in July, which I'm super excited about. It's every 2 years, so it's basically kind of just like a giant class reunion for us crafting geeks, and it's a great time. And we all bring empty suitcases because we shop there. We buy greenery and stuff from General Wholesale and other vendors. And we go home with suitcases full of stuff, which I shouldn't do because I just went to the Craig Bachman warehouse sale. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. We have all of them done. So we have 6 on the inside, and now we have 6 on the outside. Okay. So we have 12 of these. This is the profile. Okay. They're all kind of sitting up. I, at this point, like to take all the inside ones and push them to the inside, because I'm going to, when I start working on this, I'm going to start with the outside. And this kind of helps keep it from getting in the way. I'm going to put this to the side because, stop, it's ribbon time. Oh, no, I can't do MC Hammer. I did try to wear the hammer pants back in the day, but I wish I had them now, because they would be very probably minimizing on my thighs. All right, we're going to cut the ribbons now. Now, I have a ribbon ruler here. This came from Hot Mesh Mom. Okay, this is 14 inches is how I cut my tails. There's also a 13-inch on here, but I like to cut 14 inches is my length. I need 12 pieces of each of these. So I'm going to start by cutting my black and white pattern. I just got to wrap it around here 12 times, and then we'll make some cuts, okay? You can measure this out individually. If you don't have a ribbon board, you can just measure it on a mat, a ruler, whatever you have handy. You know, a yardstick, whatever works. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Look at me, I can count. Yay, Linda! Of course, now I took that off of there and it's going to roll. Here we go. Stay. Okay, so now I've got it all wound on here, right? So I'm just going to slide the board out. Hello. I'm going to keep this all together. Okay, I'm just going to cut. I'm going to split the scissors through, cut at the top, cut at the bottom. I'm cutting at the top. And I'm going to go cut down at the bottom. Okay, and then that gives me 12 pieces. Yay, Linda can add. Okay, so what I want to do is get all of the ends even and kind of stack it up here. We're going to dovetail. What that means is it's going to make a V shape at the end of the ribbon. So I'm going to take my ribbons and bend them in half so all my wired edges are touching. I'm going to cut in angle from the inside outward toward the wires. Make sure you have nice sharp scissors for this. And you end up with a dovetail shape because it's the shape of a dove's tail. Right? Like we had no idea where that term came from. Here we go. It just makes it nice and finished. It keeps it from fraying. You don't have to dovetail your ribbons, but I like to. Because why not? Okay, make sure they're all at the end. You don't have to cut right to the very end too, because some of the ribbons inside might be scooched over, so give yourself a little wiggle room in there, okay? This is going to be probably 13 and a half by the time I get everything dovetailed. Okay? Get a nice sharp cut right over on those wires. All right, scooting on down. Now we're going to do the same thing, but with our cool volleyball. I've never done a volleyball wreath. I have made a basketball wreath, and I made a football wreath, but I typically, and a hockey one, Blackhawks, for a friend. I wasn't sold. There was no trademark issue. I did not sell it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. One thing I also want to call out is when you are wrapping it around there for your dovetails, watch to make sure that there aren't any splices in that ribbon. What that means is, like, when they were manufacturing it, the end of one roll and a big roll started another one, they'll kind of like melt it together, but it creates like a bump, and also it's not usually lined up on the pattern. So you might have to like cut that part off, or like cut a few and then cut some more. All right. So again, I'm going to slide that right out. Go into here. So let me ask, what sports do your kids or grandkids participate in? Because my daughter and I are not sporty at all. But I like to know. Are they into football? Do they do like pee-wee football, powder puff? Are they into baseball? Because I'm trying to do some more sports themed type items, and I think it's kind of coming to that season. I just did some baseball wreaths. Okay. I'm actually going to cut 3 and 3. I didn't like the cut that I got in the last one. Here we go. There we go. I just want to make sure it's nice and sharp and doesn't look dull. So I'm going to do that again with this 3 and 3. 1, 2, 3. Volleyball scares me. I'm going to be honest. When I was in high school and I was sitting out because I was sick one day. I think I just came back from being pretty sick. I think that's when I had chicken pox as a freshman in high school, and it hit me hard. But I was sitting on the, I had to watch for gym class, but I didn't have to dress, but I had to sit there and watch the game. And I was kind of sitting there, and there were multiple courts, right? So I was kind of watching what was going on over there, and I didn't see that over here, a ball came and whacked me in the face, and it jammed my glasses down on my nose, and I think that's when I broke my nose, because I've been told that my nose had been broken before, but I didn't remember having a broken nose, but I do remember it didn't bleed, but it hurt like a mofo. It hurt so bad because it just jammed it right down. So ever since then, my doctor says that I shouldn't play games where balls fly at my face. That's from Clueless. That's one of my favorite quotes, and I know I didn't get it exactly right, but it's funny. All right, so now that we have our mesh cut, our ribbon cut, our frame made, it's time to make the magic. Woo! Here we go. All right, I'm going to move the mesh over to the side because I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing, okay? No, don't go flying off the end. We don't want that. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to take a piece of my mesh, and you see when I put it down, it wants to curl up, okay? So it's kind of like that. We want it to lay flat, so I'm going to kind of lay it curl side down, nice and flat. Okay, I'm going to run my fingers up. We're going to gather it up. We're trying to make the shape of a bow tie. And you can kind of hear my fingernails probably scratching, which is an annoying sound, I know. Okay, but we do get a little bow tie, a mustache. Ooh, a fascinator for my hat because I'm going to a wedding in London. No, I'm not. All right, I'm just going to open up a set of pipe cleaners on the outside ring, okay? I'm not untwisting. I'm just opening up the pipe cleaners. I'm going to set it right down on top of there. Setting it right down. And then I'm going to give it a nice twist. And then I'm going to overlap the left piece over the right piece, okay? What that does is it gets rid of any gaps that there might be, and it creates a round shape. Hence, as Coach Melissa coined the phrase, she calls this a pancake wreath. Sorry, there's some fuzz stuck. There we go. But it looks like a little round pancake. So the whole wreath is thin like a pancake, but then each little piece you put on there is round like a pancake. The first time that I was there in person watching her design, she walked in and everyone started chanting, pancake, pancake. It was really cool. It was fun. Okay, so now there's 2 different ways to do this. One is you can put the mesh all the way around on the outside and then come back and then put the ribbons back on. which means you got to twist it up and then you got to untwist to put the ribbon in and all the stuff. Or you can do what I do, and I call it the lazy pancake, where I have this done on here. It's right in front of me. I'm going to put the ribbons on right now. The only thing I'll have to do then is kind of make sure that my ribbons come out and they don't overlap each other. They're not overlapped by the mesh. But that's not hard to do. So I'm going to lay the ribbons one on top of each other, okay, just like this. Ends meeting as much as they can. It's not going to be exact, right? Then I bend it in half and I push down. We want to make a crease so that I can see this crease, and that is where I gather it up. So I gather it, okay? And then I'm going to kind of bend it a little bit into a V shape. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to open this up. And it stays. The pipe cleaner is open. It doesn't come popping out at me. The mesh is staying. I just put it back in, and now I twist. And I'm going to twist this around itself till I have about an inch, okay? You see that? It's kind of made one piece. I'm going to snip it, and I'm going to open up this gap here. I'm going to open up, and I'm just going to push that through. Just bend it over a little bit, and then bring it back, okay? You don't have to wrap it around the wreath frame. Just kind of bend it in a little bit. Right? It's just kind of like you're tucking that Johnson. You know what I mean? All right, here we go. I'm going to separate these out now. Now, there's two ways you can do this. You can alternate your ribbons so that they look like this, or you can put one on the outside and one on the inside where it looks like this. I prefer to alternate. That's just me. So that's how I do it. So that's how thin it is, the outside, okay? We're going to do that again. Let's do that again together. Move this over here. All right. I'm going to move my glue gun out of the way, actually. Oh, much more room. Okay. Laying this flat. Gathering up. And I'll look at the comments. I want to see, what sports are your kids playing? Anybody have any kids playing or grandkids playing any sports? Or did they play any sports back when they were in school? I did marching band. I marched with the bass clarinet. Let me tell you, that sucker is heavy. And it was heavy. And it also made me chip some teeth. So I don't recommend it because I had back problems. All right. So now you see, because I put this other piece of mesh over here, it's covering the ribbon. Just going to put it over the top. There we go. That's the only difference in putting the mesh and then putting the ribbon, or doing mesh ribbon, like the lazy pancake method, okay? I like the lazy thin method. It's just easier for me. Okay, so again, here we go, lining it up, folding it over to the ends meet, making a crease. Here we go, gathering it up the middle, opening this up, and here we go. So, if you've been following me, you know that I am obsessed with going to the Craig Bachman warehouse sale. I'm going again tomorrow. But I actually placed an order for product that I have to pick up. It just so happens that the sale is still going on. So I will take one last perusal through there, okay? But I went to pick up some different wreath frames. Remember before we were talking and I mentioned how if you're going to do a big fluffy wreath, you get the work frames that already have the little ties in there. So the kits that I'm going to be putting together now for Halloween and a lot for Christmas, there's going to be some thin ones, but I'm going to be doing some fatter, thicker ones. So some of these might have 21-inch mesh. Some of these might just have 2 rolls of 10-inch mesh. So it would be a 21-inch and a 10-inch for the ruffles, or two 10-inches. But that's why I took a poll on my Facebook to see what people were wanting, and overwhelmingly people want the bigger, fuller wreath kits. So that is what I'm going to be focusing. Cardinal, elf, Santa head. And I'm also going to be doing, I've got a 4th of July kit that's going to be, I think some of them are going to be thick, some of them are going to be thin. So it all has the same sign, but it's just going to be kind of what comes with it is going to be a little bit different. Here we go. Here we go. You know, a lot of people, they like making wreaths, but there's a lot of anxiety caused about trying to pick the right products. So if I can do that for people and alleviate that that worry, then that makes me happy, because I love to see people crafting. I also love to see people buying my finished products too. Let's not ignore those. But not everybody's a crafter. Some people like to watch, and they'll watch it, but they don't have the patience, the desire, or sometimes the physical ability to do things on their own. So that's why I like to post all these videos. Everything's going to be backed up onto YouTube because it's getting deleted off of Facebook now after 30 days. So I download every Monday afternoon, and I go put it on my YouTube channel. So it is saved for all posterity. So future generations of my bloodline that maybe crafters can go watch. I have no grandkids. Who knows? Am I going to have a bloodline? I don't know. I don't know, Sarah. Am I? Get started. Soon. I think so. I think so. Just, you know, they've got a very small 2-bedroom apartment, one of which is their shared office. So someday soon, I think the economy has to pick up a little bit and cooperate more. Here we go. Move that to the side. I've got 2 more to do on the outside, and then we're going to go to the inside. Then after that, we get to do my favorite part of making any wreath is making the bow. I love making bows. I don't know. It makes me happy. It fulfills that longing inside me. Maybe it's because I'm a widow and I don't get any anymore. I don't know. It fills that emptiness in my heart. Yeah. It's going to be tough. So this weekend, my stepdaughter, Kaylee, is getting married in Iowa. We're very excited. I did her florals, so I'm going to be the flower bus going out there. I've got all the florals and containers ready to drive it out there to her. It's going to be really special. It's going to be really hard not having her dad be there to walk her down the aisle, and I'm going to try to focus on how beautiful she looks and not the fact that he's missing it. I know he'll be there in spirit, but it's not the same, and it sucks because he worked really hard to make sure that she got over things she was struggling with, and she worked hard, and she got herself into the school she wanted, and she worked really, really hard, and it sucks that he's not able to see the payoff of that, but I know he's happy wherever he is, that if she's happy, he's happy. So I know he's happy. And I would say I'll have a beer for him, but I don't drink beer. I'm not going to be drinking at the wedding either, because it doesn't make me feel good lately. It gives me some tummy troubles. So I'm going to be the sober bus. Can drive people back and forth to the hotel, which is not far from there. But here we go. Here we go. And then we got to clean up all the decor. As soon as the wedding is over, we got a lot of stuff to clean up. So I want to make sure that I am ready to go with them. And have all the containers in there ready to go. I'm bringing everything inside plastic containers so nothing's going to get crushed. I made sure we pulled the nail out of my tire so that I don't end up having car trouble going out there. I should have gotten that little changed, but that's okay. Okay. This is the last one on the inside ring. Okay, my V shape. And then we're going to go on the inside. It's just a little trickier on the inside, just trying to find the pipe cleaners. That's why I bent them all inward when we started this. It does make it easier to try to find them now. These separate, so I'm just wiggling these. And give them a good wiggle. You really want to make sure, give them a good tug. Each one should be separate. Okay, and then I kind of like do a little bend. As we work on this, they're going to want to shift a little bit, and that's okay. It's going to take them a little bit until they kind of settle into their final place and know where they should be. Okay, so this is currently the outside with just 6 pieces. That is how thin it is. Nice and skinny. if I can't be skinny, at least my wreaths can be. Okay? Now I'm going to go look between here and here. Right here should be a pipe cleaner. And here we go. I found one. So I'm going to push the mesh pieces onto either side of it so I've got a nice clear shot, and I'm going to open up that pipe cleaner before I grab the mesh, right? Because it's better to do it when I've got two hands instead of one hand. We don't want just to be one-handed. Dewey, hello, Loretta, how's it going? I hope you guys are all having a good start to your week. I am. I shipped out a bunch of stuff today. I have to go to the post office later and UPS again later. But they're not too far from my house, fortunately. Here we go. So now again, I'm going back to, here was the pipe cleaner that I found. I'm going to put that right in the middle. All right, that was nice and easy. Give it a good twist. Overlapping, left over the right on the top, left over the right on the bottom. Makes a nice little circle, okay? I've still got that twisted. I'm going to grab my ribbons. All right. This pattern on bottom, this pattern on top. Bending it over. Oh, hold on a second. I just found 3 pieces I did not dovetail the other side on. Shame on me. Bad girl. Bad, Linda, bad. Shame, shame. Okay, here we go. Got this. There we go. I immediately throw the dovetails away into the garbage can below here because otherwise I can't work with messy spots. Messy spaces make me crazy. Okay, bending it in half, gathering it up, making my V shape. I get to have breakfast with Miss Linda tomorrow. I'm very excited to see you. I know it's been a while, so it's going to be fun to see you. Again, I will drape a napkin over the front of my shirt because I always make a mess, especially when I'm eating breakfast. So hopefully I didn't embarrass you with that. But I was right. I knew it was going to happen within like the first 3 bites. Man, it was all over my shirt. Syrup. I think I have a hole in the bottom of my chin, which just droops out. Kind of crazy. All right, now I'm separating these out. Okay. And there we go. Just like I did on the bottom, I've done it now on the top. We're going to fill out the rest of this. 5 more pieces to go. Okay. We find that next piece. Okay, it's right here between these 2. I'm going to open the spot up. I'm going to grab my mesh. I'm going to flatten this piece. Let's gather it up the middle. Scrape, scrape, scrape. I hate that sound, but it works. Here's a little butterfly, bow tie. Put that in right over those. Twist. I'm going to overlap the left over the right. Ooh, these lights are hot, and I am having a hot flash. If I spontaneously combust, I do apologize. Save my wreath supplies. All right, I'm going to open that back up just so it's ready for my ribbons. Here we go. Another set. Black and white. I like the black and white. I wasn't sure what I was going to match with this, but I think it works. I could have done a solid, but then I would have gone with solid black, but I was already doing black mesh. That would have been, I think, a little too much. So here we go. Now, I will say, if you wanted to add in any flowers, the time to do it would be, I would come in, I would give it a twist. Then you can add in your stems or whatever you wanted to add in, and then continue to twist your pipe cleaner, and then hit it with some glue, okay? So when I do these, I don't just glue stuff in. I always try to find some way to wire it in or wrap it or include it in that pipe cleaner. This one is not going to have any florals, but that's typically how I do it because I like to have that extra security. The glue is great, and I use Gorilla brand glue. I swear by it. It works fantastic, but I also want to make sure nothing's going to fall off because things get hot, right? Between those doors in the summer, things get hot, and if it's just glue, then things can get loose and slide out, and I don't want that to happen to any of my customers. So that is one way to do it. Leverage those pipe cleaner spots, especially if you've got a mixed greenery bush of 60919, which if you know, you know. Oh, that's for the next one. Hold on, I gotta do the mesh. That's a perfect spot to add that in, right there. Because that mixed greenery bush, and I'll show you what it looks like. It looks like, oh, that kind of matches that. Now I'm gonna save this for something else. But there are 3 pieces on here, okay? You separate it out, you can see there's 3 pieces. Look on the back. And then you just trim it off here, so you could put 6 of these in here. You just keep it as a bunch, snip it, and then you put it in those pipe cleaner spots, and it's perfect. I didn't think florals really went with the whole volleyball kind of theme, so that's kind of why I was like, I'm going to leave off the florals. We're strictly going to do just the sign and the wreath. I did accidentally buy a hockey sign, so I don't know how I'm going to... They don't make hockey puck ribbon, but I can figure out something. I think it had like a red and black theme, so I can always use it for a Blackhawks inspired with just red and black colors, no team logo, because again, that is against copyright, and that's copyright infringement. I don't want to get in trouble. But I do have Blackhawks sign that I can use to make if I'm giving it to someone as a gift. I cannot do it in exchange for any monetary value, because my shop is small and I don't have a legal team. It's moi. And LegalZoom, which is how I did my LLC. One of the hats I wear. It's the legal team. Hello. It's accounting. Hello. It's the warehouse packing and shipping team. Hello. Design. Hi. Social media. Hola. I mean, we wear lots of hats. If you have a crafting business, I'd say it's about 50, maybe even like 30% making and 70% marketing, managing, etc. It ain't all fun and games, but I enjoy it. All right, going flat again. Put on the next piece of mesh, gathering it right up the center. This is 10-inch mesh cut at 18 inches. I've cut 12 of these. I've got a couple more to put on here. I'm not undoing that pipe cleaner. I'm just putting it right over where it already was. If you just joined, I went over, step by step closer of how to do this, so you can go back and watch on the replay of this video. This probably will also end up as a reel. And I always get people yelling at me about, why didn't they show more of this? Because Facebook automatically cuts it into a reel, and there's a little button at the bottom that says watch video. But instead of reading, people would rather complain first. It's kind of funny. They don't read the captions. They don't read the text that goes along with it. They ask me the same question, and I will answer it because, not everybody knows that stuff is down at the bottom. But it's there. But it's better for me to just respond to everybody, because I want to make sure everyone knows that I read every single comment. Every single comment. Because I think it's rude not to. If people are nice enough to watch me, then I'm going to reach out and thank them for watching me. See if they've got any feedback, anything they'd like to see. Here we go. Is there anything you guys want to see me make? Okay, 2 more pieces, and then it's onto the bow, baby. Well, actually, the sign and then the bow. I've been making some arrangements. Easter is all put away now, so I'm fully into the swing of summer. Last week I did a patriotic truck. I think that was last week. So definitely into the summer stuff now. I made a wreath last week. I didn't record it, but it's strawberry themed, which is fun. I like that. All right. Just got 1 set left after this. So again, I'm just putting these ribbons. They are cut at 14 inches a piece. They are then dovetailed. And then I'm going to find the center point, gather it up, make a V shape, open up my pipe cleaners, put them in, give them a good twist about 1 inch, give it a trim. And then I'm going to separate, again, like I did before, I'm separating it here where the gather was. I'm putting it in the butt crack of the pancake. I'm putting it in the butt crack of the little round thing we put in, okay? Pushing it in there, pushing that hemorrhoid back in there. that was too much information. But it also hit too close to home, you know what I'm saying? That's why I don't sit too much anymore when I'm making a wreath, because I can't. Oh, that's a whole other issue. If you have kids, you know. If you've given birth, you know. Ugh. Okay, here we go, the last one. Here we go. I am planning at this point to go live again next Monday. If I'm super exhausted, I may not, because the day after the wedding, I've got to still drive home about 4.5 hours. Maybe even longer, because I take a lot of pee breaks. So I'm going to try to have my project picked out already so that I don't have to go hunting for stuff and figure it out. It probably is going to be an arrangement, maybe we'll focus on bow making. What do you guys want to see me make? Do you guys have any preference? Drop me a comment. Let me know. What kind of stuff do you want to see? Here we go. Bending that. Oh, push that over up a little bit. Sometimes one of the pieces are going to be a little bit longer than the other, and that's okay. That's just because of how we've dovetailed it. They're not going to be exact. Okay. Pushing it in. Giving it a good twist. All right. Snipping that off. Pushing that in. All right, now I'm going to separate out these ribbons. And again, when we're all done, we're going to move these ribbons around, and we're going to move the tails so that everything has its final position. This is kind of just, it's initially getting used to its spot. It's learning its line. It's trying to overcome its initial stage direction, okay? So I'm just going to make sure that the ribbon is on top of the mesh because I did the lazy pancake method, right? See here, this is an example. The mesh is on top of the ribbon. Just boop. Nice and easy. Just boop. It's usually just that one end piece. That's the only difference I see personally from doing the method this way. All right? So this is where we're at. That's how thin it is. It's about typically 4 inches. So now we are going to look at attaching the sign. So let me get my trusty old staple gun. This sign is pretty thick, but the base piece, this might actually be okay. There's 2 pieces of wood here, how it's on top of each other. If I staple it just through this, the staples might come through the sign. I don't want that. Sometimes I will add cardboard squares to the back before I staple it on, but depending on where I'm going to staple this, we're going to see. So my plan is to have the sign here and then the bow down here. So I think I'm going to add, if I add the pipe cleaners here and here, there's a double thickness of the sign. I do not need to add any cardboard backing. I can just go ahead and staple it in directly. Oh, this is exciting. This doesn't usually happen. Now I'm going to get kind of close to the edge. I'm going to do 3 times because this is a bit of a heavier sign, so I want to make sure I have plenty of support in here. It's heavier just because there's that extra layer of wood. Okay. This is how I've done it. All right. Now, when we're looking at this, I'm going to do this this is like a 12 o'clock position. 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right. I'm going to put this in at the 2 o'clock and the 10 o'clock positions. Okay. So noon is up at the top. That's how I like to do mine. Otherwise, I'm trying to like stick it between, and it just, I don't know. Well, I guess I could. No, I like to go like that. All right, so I'm going to sit down for this. Now, he's going to bend this, okay? We got it coming down. I'm just going to straddle. There's already a spot here. You can see where we put the pipe cleaner in here. So there's already a guide for where the pipe cleaners just need to go right over that other existing pipe cleaner. So the spots are already made. It's just because it's on the top layer, sometimes it just takes a little bit of finessing that pipe cleaner through all those layers of mesh. But I like the pipe cleaner to come out between rings 2 and 3 on the back, and then in front of ring 1 over here. All right. And then I'm just going to twist it. Okay. Let me undo this so you guys can see all of it. Here we go. Okay, so here there's ring 1 and ring 2. It's on either side of that. I'm just going to tighten it up. We're going to go twisting, 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 twisting. I'm going to snip it. Okay. And then I'm just going to bend this right around here. So that pipe cleaner is bent. I kind of tuck it underneath so the edge doesn't catch. All right, now I'm going to go over here to the 2 o'clock position. I'm going to do the same exact thing that I just did over there. Okay. 1 on one side. So I'm coming out the side of ring 1, and then this other one is going to go between rings 2 and 3, so it's kind of pushing on the outside of ring 2. All right, flip it over. And I don't normally have to flip it over. I can usually do it by hand. I'm just doing it to make sure you guys can see. Here we go. Twisting, twisting, twisting. Okay. And then just wrap that around. All right, it's nice. It looks finished on the back. You may see some what I call stray chin hairs when you flip it over. Just kind of give it a little trim. Mesh by nature is going to fray regardless of what you do. The higher quality mesh, the less likely it is to fray. Dollar Tree mesh, it's that stuff is going to fray a lot. To me, it's worth spending the extra couple of dollars to get a nice quality mesh. I mean, you can get good quality mesh. I would say Michael's is not the best for quality mesh. I would say Hobby Lobby is good, but I do prefer ordering online from places like Decor Exchange or Craft Outlet. They all basically kind of get it from the same supplier. Craig Rockman. So that's why it's good quality stuff. It's worth it. If you're going to put this much effort into making something, it's worth just an extra little bit. Okay? All right. So now we have this. Now we have down here, we're going to add our bow. So this is going to go to the side. I'm going to bring our bow maker over. All right. And now, this is going to go away. I have our 3 ribbons. Now, before when I made this, I did put this as the bottom layer and then this at the top. But I also have a 1.5 inch version of this. I don't want those 2 on top of each other. So I'm going to start with this as my bottom base layer. Okay. And then this in the middle. And then this 1.5 inch is going to be the top. Okay. So I'm going to do a bow that has tails that are going to come down slightly. So probably I'm gonna do 9 inch tails on this, and then I'm going to do 5.5 inch on that bottom loop, on that bottom layer. And I don't necessarily want a huge bow, so I want to keep this wide but flat, like my butt. It's wide but it's flat. All right, here we go. I've dovetailed it already. Now dovetailed, I hit it at 9. Okay, putting it in there. This is my bow making tool. I have to use it because I have problems with tendons in my hand. If you can make bows by hand, that is fantastic, and I'm super, super happy for you. I can't. I have to use a bow maker tool. This is the Easy Bows Design Pro. They have other versions of it as well. There's even versions like cheap knockoff versions on Amazon you can get, but there is no shame in a bow making game. Okay, use a bow maker. It'll save your hands. All right. So I'm going to push this down. And our first layer, like I said, is going to do 5.5. Because I think 6 would be too wide. I don't want to cover the wheels, really. I don't mind if it goes over the wheels a little bit. But I'm going to do 5.5. Pinch and twist. On this other side, okay? And then we'll do 5.5. Okay, now you notice I'm not flattening it down. I'm just following the natural curve of that. Now I have to figure out, do I want another set of loops? And I think I do. So I'm going to pinch and twist again. I'm going to repeat what I just did. I'm going to do 2 5.5 inch loops, one on either side. Okay. This time I can just use the loop that's underneath it as the guide. Pinch and twist. Put this through. Pinch and twist. Guys, you would not believe some of like the actual hate I got from people who are like, well, you're not a real wreath maker or a bow maker if you can't do it by hand. And I'm like, what is that ableist shit you're spewing? Not everybody can do it because they've got physical limitations. Like, I don't know. Some people need to make themselves feel superior in any way possible. It was just almost laughable. I was like, are you kidding? What is wrong with you? You're literally hating on someone over making a bow. Like, what is your problem? I don't know what's happening to this country, but I don't like it. People are just nasty. No one holds the door for each other anymore. It just, I don't know. It is what it is. I guess it's the new way of the world. But I would like to think that people in the crafting community, we are good people. Most of us. I think the comments that I got were from like maybe florists who did this a while ago and it made themselves feel better. But now that a lot of other people are crafting and making bows, maybe they feel threatened somehow. I don't know. I'm not a therapist and I'm not going to play one on TV. All right. Now this loop I'm going to have hitting at 8 inches for the tail. Okay, 8-inch tail. Pinch and twist. All right. Now I'm going to put this one through now. The previous one was 5.5 on that loop, so I want to do this one a little bit inward, so we're going to do 5-inch, okay? Pinch and twist. Okay. Pinch and twist. And we're going to do 5-inch on this side. Because again, I don't want a huge bow. I don't want to cover the tires. Okay, but I'm going to do another pinch and twist. So I'm going to do 2 loops at 5 inches. Here we go. Here we go. All right. And then again. Now this one was, I'm going to cut a little past 8. Okay. I can always trim it if I need to. And then dovetail it. Let's see. Perfect. Looks good to me. All right. 1 up, 1 down. We're going to talk in a second about the placement of the loops. Okay. I'm going to take this off for now. I'm just going to... Oh, that was a terrible sound. I'm sorry. That was awful. Okay. What I've done is I've alternated. You can see here, we're alternating. So I got the pattern, and then this one pokes through, and then that one, and then the other one pokes through. They're not on top of each other, right? This needs to show in the gap between the other loops. All right. So each pattern, each loop needs this little time to shine in the sun. So that's how I like to do that. And again, though, this can flatten down. We can smush these loops, and it's going to be a nice flat but wide bow. The last thing I'm doing is adding a 1.5 inch. Okay. I actually got this ribbon, I think a year or so ago, and just haven't used it. I just found the 2.5 inch. I was thrilled to find that. All right. So here we go. This is the 1.5 inch, and I'm going to put that touching at 7 inches. Okay. So our tails were 9, 8, and 7. Here we go. Pinch and twist. I'm going to bring this over now because this was a 5-inch loop as a black and white. This time we're going to do, sometimes when I put my 1.5 inch on, because I usually scoot in a 1/2 inch on each loop, but sometimes instead of going at 4, I might do 3.5, but I think here I'm going to do 3.5. I'm going to do 3.5 inch. Okay. Pinch and twist. Here we go. Looks like 3.5. Double check. Hold on. Just want to make sure. Yep. They look good. And I can also do this. Just kind of bring up my loops, make sure they look. Yep. They look and feel good. All right. I'm going to do another set. Okay. Another set. Now, though, instead of me cutting a tail on this side, I got to do one extra little thing, and that is I want to make a little center loop. Now, if I had a little tiny volleyball ornament or a little tiny volleyball something, I would use that. I would put that in the center of this because I think that looks really cute. I call it a sweet center. I think it's fun. But I don't, so we're just going to do a loop. So I'm going to, I pinched and twisted. Here's my back side. I'm doing a 2-finger loop. So I'm going to put 2 fingers in here. Bring it over. All right. There we go. It's my 2-finger loop. All right. And then this one, again, I had cut it before. I said this was going to be 7 inches. I'm going to cut it a little longer. And I'm going to do a little trim. All right. Okay. Now, you could zip tie the bow, right? But we've got a chenille stem. This is not a huge, massive bow, so I'm just going to take my pipe cleaner. I'm going to wrap it around the bow. So I am going to pick this up from the bottom. This is a sandwich. We're keeping all the layers of our sandwich together, okay? Our BLT is not going to come apart. Okay, here we go. Squishing it down. Here we go. Whole thing is in one hand. I'm going to just take this and I'm going to go right between my fingers there. Right here. I'm going to squish it on my boobies. Because that's what I got them for. They serve no other purpose other than holding my bows. And I'm going to twist it at least twice. Okay? All right. So this is what we end up with. All right. So let's fluff it. All right? I'm going to take this. I'm going to open this up. All right. So now we have 2 loops on top of each other. I'm going to bring one up and one down. Okay, and it's going to kind of fill in that spot between the black and white and go kind of below it. So it's really mimicking the exact same spots as it was from the 2.5-inch version. It's kind of going right over there. Now, black and white, volleyball. Black and white, volleyball. Black and white, then put volleyball on the inside. Okay. Now, this one had both of the things over on the same side. I'm taking the bottom one. And I'm pulling out one over to the other side, okay? Now that means I might need to trim this one a little bit. That's another thing you can do in your drawing is just kind of take a look and see what needs to be trimmed, all right? But this looks pretty good to me. Sorry, it's kind of hard to do that. The other thing I want to do is run my fingers down the wires, work the wires, right? That's what kind of gives it that little curve, that polished finish, because also sometimes as you're working on it, it might get a little bent. Just make sure that everything is nice and smooth. And now we're going to go attach it onto our wreath. We're going to put it down here at the 6 o'clock position. Just like we did with the sign, we're going to straddle that existing spot that's already right there from the pipe cleaner. So I'm going to push that through. Oh, that went through like butter. So nicely, so nicely. Here we go. The top one needs to go through. Trying to find the space to finagle it through. Here we go. I am going to flip it. I will come back and fluff my bow again. All right. Again, it's over ring 1 and underneath ring 2. Yep. I'm just going to pull. We're going to twist. This is the exact same way that we did it when we attached our sign. It actually came out even. I'm not even going to trim it. And then just kind of wrap it around the frame, okay? And poke your ends under the other pipe cleaner. All right. Now let's check. I tilt it the way I want it. Now I don't want to cover too much, so I'm going to pull some of these loops downward. I also don't want to cover the word spike it, so I'm going to make sure that my volleyball loops are kind of almost at 3 and 9 o'clock and then a little bit further down. I don't know, I guess it'd be 5 and 7. Okay. Make sure everything looks good, feels good. Make sure the tails of the final tail lengths match. It's kind of like, you know, when you go get your hair cut and then they pull your hair down to the side and you kind of see, does it match in the same spot? Do they need a trim? Kind of do the same thing with your bow. But that's it. And the last thing that I do is go around and fluff and make sure that all my tails are in a good spot, especially the tails around the sign. I don't want to see a lot of like black spot like here. I don't want to see a lot of that mesh. I'd rather see some of that ribbon. coming through. I think that's all good there. So literally just kind of rotate your wreath. Make sure it all looks good. I'm gonna go check on my kid in a minute because she had a stomach ache. The last thing I want to deal with today is anything that's going to get me sick. You don't want to be sick for the wedding. No, no, no. No siree, ma'am. I think it was post-nasal drip, to be honest. Okay. So then one final thing I do too is I will grab a zip tie because of the way I hang mine. And I'm going to take the zip tie. I'm going to put it around back here. I'm just going to go on the outside ring. I'm just going to go like over that spine. Okay. Right between rings 3 and 4. Click it a little bit because I hang these on hooks, and then I also use it to hang on the wall actually. There we go. And just pull the loop up. You can see that there. That's what I did. Okay. And here is our finished wreath. Spike it. I almost feel slightly athletic now, but not really. But hopefully there is some teenage girl out there that loves volleyball, and this would be a perfect wreath for her front door. It makes a perfect gift for their birthday, for their graduation, for Christmas, anything like that. So think sports themes, gifts. They are very popular, especially if you're a maker. That's a good avenue to go down. Okay? I will have this listed at sweetariadecor.com. That is my Etsy site. You can also follow me all over the social medias, and especially over on the Tube of You. I've got a channel where this video is going to be backed up. All right. Let me see if there's any more comments or questions. Lila likes it. Oh, Victoria, you like my butt crack joke, huh? Yeah, it kind of looks like a little butt crack. But that's kind of, you got to make it funny. You know, if we can't laugh, well, then we'll just cry. Nobody wants to do that. All right. Thank you. Go out there and do something athletic today. Like channel surf. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a fantastic day. See you later.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. You can follow me on social media and shop my items at sweetariadecor.com.